Volta.
We're talking about Volta now. The newest, now we can say it's the newest Cirque du Soleil show that just premiered today, world premiere today, in Montreal.
Today when we record this, not when
right, today when we record this. It'll probably, maybe it'll be 3 months from now. Who knows? But
I hope not.
I don't know. I think it'll be
September tour will be over by then.
Right. Dario would have already seen Hoya. Anyway, so yeah, we're talking about Volta, and you know, I believe we have talked about Volta previously and sort of what it's about. I think in the fan episode, and you know, it's about extreme sports in a way, and now we know it's not necessarily all or every extreme sport you can think about. There's some, obviously they have to have some actual circus acts.
There's a lot of stuff that's kind of flying around, you know, on Instagram, pictures and whatnot. I think the main theme that Cirque presented in its I don't know what you would call it, its announcement, pretty much says it all. And some of the things we've seen from the press conference and again on Instagram and other locations, you know, it's this futuristic, I don't know, environment. It kind of reminds me of Black Mirror. If anybody's ever seen that show, I think it's Black Mirror. You know, there's an episode where, you know, everybody is, I guess, is part of a game show, and that's what it reminds me of. Volta, it reminds me of that episode. I guess, Dario, you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, it's kind of bizarre. But now that we know a little bit about the characters, and we're seeing a little bit more about the stage, and of course seeing a little bit more about the acts and things that are coming out through the videos, it looks good. I mean, it does. It really looks good.
You know, the initial story was is a game show host, and
right,
and now we know basically a little bit more about it in terms of what we're seeing, and I don't know if you guys remember from the press conference, and they broadcasted live on Instagram some of the acts, and you know, initially we saw the ropes act, we saw the bike and ballerina, and then the BMX at the end, which is I think that's
the finale, yeah,
the finale closest to the show. And at that point, we were like, BMX acts.
Apparently, there's three.
There's three in there, but we only saw two at that time, and you know, and I think, is this the first time we saw a glimpse of the costumes? I think we did.
No, I think there was that video that came out.
I can't remember. The video was after, though. I think it was.
It might have been. I don't remember. We might have seen a couple of glimpses, but yeah, I mean, it probably was the first time we really saw the costumes from head to toe for everybody, or at least the people that they showed on the video. And I remember looking at them and going, "What the hell?"
The coal miner.
Yeah. Well, you know, some people are saying, "Oh, you know, this is Hunger Games inspired," or this is. You know, there's like a couple of episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation that kind of looked into the 22nd century that have kind of these weird costumes that are reminiscent of that.
They're very like sort of futuristic, but
cheesy.
No, it's very like sort of surreal, you know, like.
So one of the things I noticed that they did with the costuming of this show is that they kept it very fashionable to like stuff that we as humans wear, versus something that you would see in Barkai with the big shapes and stuff like that. Whereas I feel like Volta has
no star poopies for you.
Well, no. I see the expression on Dario's face because he's like, "What the hell? Who the hell?"
Well, not as human as Corteo, which you will never get. But I get what you're saying.
I mean, shape-wise. I'm not talking like style-wise, but I feel
so kind of like Blade Runner, but
well, because it's also representing like actual people and not like creatures or imaginary things. And so, you know, and you do have 4 different families. Which, by the way, I think after hearing about the families and knowing what it is about, like, I do appreciate the costumes a lot more. You know, you have the elites and you know, their makeup and costume, they're very fancy, and I know Dario doesn't like them, but I really do like they're not that, I mean, I would wear anything like that, but you get that sense of that they're elite, and you know, they feel like they're more important, I guess, than the rest.
Tunnel. I feel like they're trapped in a tunnel trying to get out. That's what
I think you find them as they're a part of a society. So they're kind of like it. Other fans have likened what they're seeing from Volta to Saltimbanco, that you have the 2 or 3 different kinds of families in Saltimbanco. You kind of have that in Quidam a little bit as well. So you've got that situation that they're now part of a society. So these are the elite members, and yeah, they dress a little strangely. You could probably look at the movie The Fifth Element and see how some of those people in that future dressed compared to what maybe some normal people would dress, and look at it that way. The same with the Free Spirits, or the same with the Greys. They're part of this strange futuristic society.
And whenever we saw the press conference, or in the show actually, they are part of the game show. And apparently this is what some of the Greys want to be. They aspire to be elites, and whenever they go into the game show, if whatever it is that they're doing, if they win or whatever, they become part of the elites. And that's why in the press conference that we saw, one of them tries the jump rope, and I guess they either qualify or they did great, and then you see them putting on the elites costume, and that's what happened there. And the Greys are. You can't miss the Greys. They're wearing literally all gray. And so those are the ones who are sort of like all into their cell phones. There's really no expression on them. If you've seen some of the pictures and the videos. And so, so that's what they're trying to be. They're trying to become the elites, and that's why they go to the game show. And Was is, the big percenter with the gold costume.
This has kind of been a show, as we've learned more about. I can definitely say, like, if you asked me 3 days ago if I wanted to see this show, I said, hell no way. Not even on my list of shows. For instance, though, I've learned more, I've seen more, and as we've like seen more of the show, especially with that wonderful trailer that came out, I'm actually kind of interested in seeing this now. But before, when we were first seeing the press release, we didn't know any of the context of the characters. What was your thought when you first saw the press release with no context of characters?
I thought it was strange at first. I like that sort of feel and style, and I still do. That futuristic and it's funny because my friend, and I didn't mention this, but when I was talking to him, he says it's sort of a Fifth Element feel, if you guys remember that movie, and it's kind of sort of futuristic and kind of strange in a way, but then as we saw more, yes, you do get that sort of Hunger Games feel, and even what's the other one, that Divergent series, that sort of futuristic style. I was confused, but I've been excited about Volta since the beginning because of the composer, which is Anthony Gonzalez from M83, and I absolutely love M83, and I think a lot of people were kind of look at Dario right now. He's shaking his head, and I think that's been the reaction for some people who may not necessarily know or understand M83, Anthony Gonzalez. But I feel like now that they've heard some clips and some of the music and now the trailer, even Doug our friend Doug said, okay, I'm a little more convinced. I still have to see it, but some people are sort of turning.
I'm so right there with you on M83. Like I've been a listener of M83 before a long time, and I'm excited to hear the album, more albums. I fingers crossed albums. I'm really hoping. He had mentioned possibly doing a conceptual album, M83 style, based on the show, which I would love. I
like that idea.
A lot of people hate concept albums. I'm all for this because.
But why not have a concept album by the guy who created the music, and this is what he does? Absolutely. He's a producer, and so he created this, and I think that's great because it's really coming from the same person. And when you think about it, the music that he creates could have been the music that was in the show. Obviously, he did say that some of the tracks that are going to be on the album, if he does do it, are not going to be necessarily from the show. When you think about it, it's a possibility that anything that he creates could have been part of that show.
Yeah,
It's going to have the same style, I would imagine. What about you, Richard? What was your initial?
I think probably along with everyone else, you go, oh, it's a sports thing again, kind of a thing. And then you started to hear a little bit more about it. You're like, all right, this could be something interesting, depends on the direction they take it. And then you started to see a couple of pictures. The press conference video came out, and you go, oh, right, that's a little weird. But like everything else, even though I am critical of Cirque du Soleil at times, I do keep an open mind. I may say, I don't like this, as you said earlier in the program, I don't like it. But then, as you absorb more about it, you learn more about it. And I think that's part of my issue, is that you only get little drops of things here and there, that come out. So, for example, and I'm going to go off on a little tangent, the tent. The tent, why is it white and silver or gray, whatever, people call it. If they just erected the tent, there was no reason as to why. Maybe there doesn't have to be a reason, but longtime Cirque fans, you go, okay, why are we changing? If it's not broke, don't fix it. But yeah, as I saw more of the show, as the press conference videos, as I saw more of other people's Instagram videos of the press conference, and of course the official one, and the trailer that just came out today, really fantastic looking. And as I've seen some pictures on Instagram from the soft opening last week, and learned about the families, the costumes that they put online, yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing a lot more. And I really want to see the show, just don't have an opportunity right now.
All right, so let's go to the person who has learned to trust Cirque du Soleil a lot more. Dario, what is your initial impression of what we've seen about Volta?
Dude, I hate to be negative about the company I love so dear, but I'm having the opposite effect. The more I see, the more I hear, the more I hate. And I don't want to say hate like, oh, I hate driving to work. I mean hate. I'm just going to leave. I'm going to do it as simple as this. The show and the music, the concept, the costumes, everything feels like if I was to take a non-Cirque fan and sit them down and just explain. They've never seen Cirque. They don't know what Cirque is. And I was just to explain to them what Cirque sounds like, or what Cirque looks like, and what they're supposed to do. Volta.
Or
it has no spirit. It has no soul. This freaking arm that is constantly moving and coming down and going up, and there's like lights, and there's flashing, and there's things. I mean, I'm seriously, I might sit this one out for a few years.
What happened because to trusting them, though?
I do trust Cirque.
Apparently not when MA3 isn't
right. Apparently not when they
trust Cirque when they're doing something new. This isn't Cirque.
Is new.
No. This is Cirque trying to go back to what made Cirque Cirque, but adding these elements that Cirque would have never done.
I don't know.
Oh yes,
this
the
is
bungee cord costumes.
You think this
this is not.
It has so much. Please,
it's
we're a real Cirque show. Look at us, and then they sprinkle it in this snooty, uptight. I mean, the music was like.
I'm gonna have to call you out because you've always said that you like that Cirque tries new things.
Yes.
And now they're trying something new, and you're like, they're trying something.
There is a limit. There's a limit.
Oh, Dario has a limit.
I have a limit because Taruk was pushing it. Santa Modia was pushing it.
Taruk was nothing like Cirque du Soleil has ever done, though.
That's what I mean.
What's the difference?
New. That's new.
And Volta is not.
But the fact that they're kind of taking what I love and shitting on it by, I don't know, changing the colors of the tent, making it this. I'm telling you.
So you want something new or not?
Listen, I want Cirque to be true to who Cirque is. And I feel like this new Cirque has no soul or not new Cirque, this new show. They forgot to add a soul.
Well, Taruk was not true to who they are.
I'm telling you, the colors of the tent.
Well, this is the thing. This is the
colors of the
costume. You're entitled to your opinion. That's not the problem. The problem is that you're a little like
Oh, me be bipolar? Oh, no,
No,
me be
no.
wishy-washy?
First of all, I'm not saying that, but it's funny because you're contradicting yourself, because you say you want Cirque to try something new, and yet they're trying something new, and then you say no, you can't shit on it. You're changing everything. Well, that's trying something new. You said that you want Cirque to be true to who they are. Taruk is not who they are at all.
As in these arena shows with these bands you've never heard of. New, not big top. 8 months creation. We're putting all of our guns into this.
I think I know what you're saying, Dario. I think like what you're saying is the show lacks depth.
Not depth. I look into any show and I'll instantly see a purpose, a body, a soul, a being, and then I'll appreciate. This I look into and I see snootiness, pretentiousness. Look at me. The costumes are god awful. I mean,
I think they're beautiful and very well made. They look.
That's great. That's great. I'm very open to looking at them again. But I mean, that big gold costume, it looks like he just fell in a big pile of urine and it dried to him when he woke up. I don't like it.
But what if that's part of the story? What if there's more to it?
So,
like, you know,
it doesn't matter.
Was looking for something else?
Oh my God, was. Like, can we just start there for 1 second? Like, okay, and first off, the actor who's playing Waz, it's like he moves across the stage and it's like, I'm fabulous, I'm fabulous, I'm fabulous. Oh, I'm perfect, I'm perfect. It's like I can't relate to that. Where's the vulnerability? It's just like
you don't know if it's there.
Well, I'll tell you what they're showing me. What they told me had this sense of emotion and something I could grasp onto. What they're showing me is an empty, hollow, freaking flashing, loud. The music is so, it's like if I was to tell my brother what a Cirque song should be, that's what it would sound like.
Dario, I think that's part of the point, though. I think that's part of the point of the story is that it is a soulless, and all the other things you said, because you were really going off there. No, but I mean, I think that's the point, though, of that show, that it is supposed to be lifeless and soulless. That's the point. Waz is in a position where he is lifeless and soulless, and he is searching for something else, and that's why he goes to the free spirits, or he gets caught up in the free spirits. And the free spirits are the colorful, the free people who are out there doing their dance, man, and they're.
Oh man, see, now it's getting real, and now I'm seeing how hokey it can be. No, don't like it. I'm sorry.
So what's the difference between this and Septimo Dia, which you hated when it was announced and when you saw?
And the more I saw, the more I fell in love. I don't know, purpose, soul, body, everything that one lacks. It has a sense of when you go into it, you're one person. When you come out, you're another. That's what Cirque does. This one feels like when you go in it, you leave something behind when you go home. No. And I get that that's what they're going for, but I mean, seriously, doom and gloom, guys, the white and gray tent, it's just not for me. My life is kind of hectic and depressing. I don't need Cirque. My one freedom and way to not have doom and gloom in my life to now be like, nope, I don't like it. I'm sorry. What you sent me today, I bit my lips so hard. And my little sister was like, what was that? I just showed her. And she took 2 steps backwards. Like, is this like Disney Presents the circus?
I don't think this has anything to do with Disney. It's not nothing
so
like
Disney bright and colorful and amusement park.
No, some people complained that it was dark.
I'm talking about there's lights on everything. The jump ropes.
Dario, when you see Kidam, like old Kidam, you don't see that as like gloomy kind of?
I see it as an invitation to a new world where you're experiencing emotions that you have never experienced before. I know, no. This guy meets you, he has no head and an umbrella. That's not an emotion. This guy with dirty clothes who's been sleeping on the floor staring at his phone does not connect to me. And I don't even like Kidam that much. I would watch Kidam over 1 million times before I would ever watch that trailer again.
Let me ask you this avant-garde question then. So do you remember back when Cirque had the old website with the guy, the
Odyssey.
the Odyssey, yeah, exactly. And you could enter each of the worlds of the show. So each show kind of had like its own little scene. You'd like Jalion would have like Yao fleeing the flag in this like temple like area. I always enjoyed that because I pictured each world that the show came from. Like you could actually almost see the world the show was in. Do you feel that Volta would not be able to present that world to you? Do you feel like you're missing the world of Volta as a whole? So you're not experiencing the whole experience there from the world.
And I think that's the problem, Ian, is that for this show, maybe, and for other people, and for other shows, they're not really presenting a lot of information. And I think in this case for Dario, he needs more of the context. Now he can get more, and he could go in and say, you know what, I still don't like it. I still don't. That probably could be me with Septimo Dia. It could have been me with Lucia. As we questioned it, and Jose and I walked in, and we came out the first night going, we walked in and came out the second night going, okay, we got it. I could go see Volta and go, well, okay, that's not for me. I mean, there are shows that aren't for me. Believe was not for me. Zumanity, as much as the concept is fantastic, I just don't like the show. It doesn't come across to me.
And this is what sucks, is I'm on 16 shows now.
I just found it strange that, yes, there were some people who were skeptic about Volta, what we've seen so far. And then this trailer comes out, and people are loving it. People are loving the trailer.
Because you're seeing more of the show. You're not.
Yeah,
just
but
seeing
for Dario, it had a
minutes.
different effect. He hates it even more.
Like Ian said, 4 days ago he was against it. Now he's for it. 4 days ago I was ready to. 4 months ago I was ready to fly out to Montreal to be there. I would have been very upset if I got there and saw that. I mean, yes, the experience being with my friends and everything is great, but it's all about Cirque. That's what brings us together. So that has to be important. And I'm sure Under the Big Top is one thing, but I'm telling you, watching these shitty YouTube videos of the Santa Modia, it touches me. It speaks to me. It makes me go, this is why I'm a fan. This is why I spend money and time and look. And I feel, I'm like a joke to a lot of my friends because it's so important to me. That's the reason why. And then I look at this and I go, now I know why my friends make fun of me. It's hokey and it's silly and it feels like not like a cash grab, but like a cash grab,
So this would be the first show for you that is not for you.
First time and you know what? Because now that I'm into the point where I've seen everything that they've already had, and now I have to anticipate what's coming. Oh boy, I am.
So let me ask you a question then. So you want for them to create what they've type of shows that they've created?
No, I want them to do new things. Listen, I appreciate what this show is, but missing the mark. Okay, no. Here's a good way to put it. There's a difference between being frank and being dick. Okay, and this show doesn't feel honest. It feels dickish. I can't express
Do you feel
it.
like maybe that because, and I don't mean I'm not trying to insult you, but do you feel like maybe this show is just too flashy for the type of personality
Too flashy for me? No such thing.
Well, that's the thing. I think the lighting is great. I think the lighting is great. I think maybe, are you a little put off by the composer as well? Like the type of music? Because from the beginning you said, a pop person. And,
I've heard, this guy has no grasp whatsoever on what makes a song not a pop song.
I'm going to call you out. I'm going to call you out again.
You can.
Yes, I can. In Dallas, and I did this on purpose. We were in Dallas, and I was driving, and I said, we're talking about movies, and I said, Dario, have you seen what's that movie? The one that he composed for?
Yeah, it really stuck in your brain.
I forget. Huh?
Good CD that stuck.
No, hold on. Doesn't mean this didn't happen. No, hold on.
I didn't think I would like the music to Hoya. Loved it. I did not think I'd like Lucia. I appreciate it. So on and so forth.
No, but
Farouk, it's one of my favorite Cirque CDs. Ha, ha, ha. You know why it's one of my favorite Cirque CDs? Is because it knows what Cirque is. It's not trying to be what Cirque wants.
I asked you, I said, have you seen the movie Oblivion? And you said, yes, I have seen it. And I said, wasn't the soundtrack amazing? You're like, oh my God, yes, the soundtrack was so good. And I said, what about that title song? The title song. And you're like, oh man, that song was amazing. And then I said, Dario, it's the same composer that's doing Volta, M83.
Yes.
But the only reason why you don't like M83 now is because it's pop music or whatever. And you just said he doesn't have a grasp, or he can't basically make, I'm imagining you're trying to say good music.
One song out of 50 electrical sound.
No, that's not M83.
That's what I just heard in this trailer.
Well, the nice thing is M83, they've always been a very diverse band from when they started. Like if you listen to some of their albums, they borderline acoustic, some of it very ambient, the others go very electronic.
It's pretentious. It's just like the show. It's
see, that's the thing. He thinks the band is pretentious, and I think that's part of where.
I don't think, dude. My personality and my being 35 years old, I can smell a bullshitter. It's just bullshit, dude. It's music.
No, there's nothing wrong with you not liking it. What I was trying to say is you don't like it because you think it's pretentious music, and I think you're a little convinced that the music is not good because you think his music is pretentious.
But that would never. None of these factors ever matter when it comes to a Cirque show. When I'm sitting down and I'm experiencing what they've created, that doesn't matter. What matters is what I hear, if it fits. What I heard in that movie fit. It fit. It was a movie about a guy. It was Groundhog's Day for the future. Cool. It fit. It was chaotic and repetitive, and it fit. For a Cirque show that has Cirque saved my life. It brought this new world to me. This is one of those steps out that they took that I appreciate them taking. It's just a misfire, in my opinion. Now, it'll probably be a great show, but I guarantee it ain't going to be no longer than a 5 or 10 year show because it is extremely, extremely dated.
No, I disagree.
As someone who wasn't in on the boat like from the get go, I will say a lot of my reason for not being into it was the marketing side of things. It sounded very much like at first. It came off as, I'm thinking this is going to be like Red Bull sponsors or
X Games,
Red Bull shirts and stuff.
I would have preferred that.
That was my first step in there, and then the second thing I went into was, okay, now they're just kind of coming off as like a fitness line or something like that. Like they're trying to sell me some sort of T-shirt or something like that. You know, like it looked like you would see a gym membership ad for like Planet Fitness or something like that, and it just didn't speak to me, and it was lost in translation there too. Zoom into today, we get this beautiful trailer, and now Dario had opposite effect on you, and maybe maybe this is gonna be one of those shows that if you step foot in there, something magical happens, and then all of it comes together. Who knows? It could be we're missing information. Excuse me. I really think, without that trailer today, I probably would never have even thought of spending money on seeing Volta. And I was really, really upset with the direction Cirque was going because I'm not a big fan of Septimo Dia. I was not looking forward to Volta. I was looking forward to the album. I come from a person who is a fan of the band, but was not there for the show. But now that I'm kind of seeing the trailer, I'm getting a little more of a painted picture of the world. Now, as for the depth of it, I looked at it like this. This looks like a Cirque show to me, but I still don't get what I'm seeing here. So maybe that's why I'm going in with an open mind on this one, where I think I could actually step foot in the tent, see the show, and maybe experience a story that I didn't know was there. Because there's a lot that I didn't know was there. It slowly has been unraveling. I think marketing slowly kind of learning the company. It almost seems like Cirque's marketing had kind of like taken a step back and said, let's give them the least amount of information. We're going to give them a funky poster that doesn't tell them anything.
they've been taking too long to release stuff, and
Yes.
you know, that sort of happened with Lucia. And you know, Richard and I were you know, we've talked about this before. We're like, come on, bring it on, like show us something, like we need to see something. And I feel like, you know, a month or two before the premiere, that's when they've been releasing the most stuff. And by then you're like, okay, I'm kind of intrigued, but I need to see more. Like by that time, I need to draw me into that big top. You know, if I could, I would be there right now.
And
but
as we saw more of Lucia, and as the show became itself, you know, today's premiere day. So I will say I wasn't sold on Lucia until almost a month after it had come out, and we had started seeing videos of the show, professionally shot elements of the show. I really wasn't sold on all that pre-jargon they gave us, all those short little videos of just here's some masks, here's some costume, here's an element here, here's the story of a performer. And they're doing that a lot now, but I don't think that touches me as a you know, diehard Cirque fan, you know, especially someone who's been, you know, following the company since it's you know, the beginning days when they were really just doing, you know, back when like Novel Experience and those shows were going on. It's hard to see this new Cirque in a light that they're showing it to us. I think it's a totally different angle of Cirque. In Cirque, we're seeing the other side of the sun. You're seeing a look at Cirque, but you're getting a taste. You're not getting the show. Whereas the old advertisement used to flow into this world. The advertisements used to submerge you into the world that you were going to. These just tell you about the world. It's like a pamphlet versus a video almost. The old videos used to submerge you into the world. Look at the Varkai trailer, for instance. I've been bringing up Varkai a lot because it's probably the most colorful standout Cirque show they have currently running now, in my opinion. I think it's very bright. There's weird shapes. It takes you to a totally different world. And if you look at the trailer, it takes you there. It takes you, you see Icarus falling. You see the storyline unfolding. If you look at the Volta thing, you're seeing act, and you get a little taste of the world. And I saw it, you know, I felt that disconnect from Mama Luna.
Which is weird because Mama Luna tells a story somewhat.
It's weird. I mean, I understood the story, but the problem for me with Mama Luna was I just felt a disconnect with the acts. So I feel like coming from that, when you come into like these newer shows, I feel like they're putting out just shows. They're just shows. They're not. I agree with Dario on some of these shows seem to be lacking a little bit of heart.
They're lacking the human condition.
They're lacking that. They're lacking also, I believe, I've noticed from set design as well. I don't feel as submerged in the world as, you know, you used to. When like Alegria would come and you would feel submerged into that world. They would engulf you in it. Whereas I feel like here I'm sitting in an audience, I'm watching a show.
So Dario, based on the video, now I know you don't like much of what you saw thematically. Was there any act, you know, that you saw, any presentation that you looked at and said, okay, that's pretty cool?
Of course, dude. It's Cirque. Like, I grew up in the 90s. I rode BMX, okay? That's what I did. I did flat landing and dirt jumps. They're doing flat landing and half pipes. It speaks to me volumes. I love that. I can name the moves that they're doing in the thing. I love that. The hair, the chick with the hair, that's always been, like, I love that. But it's the way it's presented. It's the way it's just kind of force-fed, I want to say.
So if it had a different theme,
not even
if
it had a different soul, soul, the soul of the show, like Curious has a soul. It moves, it breathes, you feel it, you know what it's trying to tell you, and you just accept it. This one, and I get it. Okay, now that, you know, I kind of think about it, oh, maybe that's what it is supposed to be. Still don't like it. I need a little bit of something that I can grab onto and go, this is not reality. And okay, cool. It's supposed to be a little bit more reality based. I don't like to be negative, dude, but this is not speaking to me.
Well, no, there's nothing wrong with you not liking the show. Like, you don't have to like every single Cirque du Soleil show, and I think it's taking you this long to understand that.
Well, there are ones that are better, but I've never had this gut-wrenching, almost like I'm being made fun of. I mean, this doesn't. No one got that feeling. Like, it's almost like the new owner said, well, and this is what we ended up with. Like, they think this is what we want. Like, I don't know. I don't feel it has, like, yeah, Cirque, thank you. You've given us plenty of shit to go back that's still playing, to be emotional, to have story and depth that we can have. We've got our Mysteries and our loves. Great. But if you're going to create, like I said, if you're going to put all of your A team and call all your best and get all your new greatest acts and stuff out, the idea of the show shouldn't be empty. It shouldn't be doom and gloom and despair. Even at the end, if the guy wakes up and it's the most beautiful last 20 minutes of the show, you're only as good as the first 20. You know, a movie, just like a movie can end kind of shitty, but it has to open well, in my opinion.
So it has to want there to be some sort of soul, some sort of story already from the beginning that it's like, okay, I get this.
No story. It's the feeling I get. Now throw all this out the window. Story, plot, character. I'm talking about, you know, when it's like your fifth Cirque show and you see what you're going to, you watch what you're going to see and you just, and you can't breathe and your skin's standing and you're just so excited. This did the opposite. It made me embarrassed for a minute. Like, is this what non-Cirque fans think of us?
Do you feel like maybe it's too mainstream?
Yeah. Let's say.
I think that's the problem you have with this, that it's a little too mainstream. I think this is something that we've talked about. This is sort of for millennials, and I think that may be the issue with the show for you.
I'm Generation X.
I wanted to bring this up because I showed this to a person who's not a Cirque fan, the trailer today, with a little bit of explanation on the show. And they said to me this, and this is a person who works for EA Games. They go, this would be a great video game.
Yeah,
this would be a great video game.
Mainstream.
So maybe Cirque it's very mainstream, that it could fit in a video game and be something enjoyable there. Maybe it's something that's outside of like for me, I'm still not sure. Maybe it's something outside of my generation of show. Now, mind you guys, there's always the exception to that. There's always, there's a large exception because there's a lot of people who are going in and not knowing what circus. My friend was like, yeah, go see that. Looks great. I mean, people go see Ringling Brothers. People go see other circuses and other shows like that, that maybe aren't as great, but it's because they relate to that, because that's what they're used to seeing. So some people are turned off by Cirque because it's too unfamiliar. I remember sitting in Alegria one time, and there was an audience member like a few seats over from me, just like, I don't get that. Why am I here? I don't get this. And maybe that's who they're talking to. Maybe they're trying to pull that person who is not understanding the art.
I think they're going for something also, which is like cool.
But how do you do that and not alienate the people that are already in your pocket?
Well, you
can.
Just
kind of have to go with it.
Exactly. Either you like it or you don't. And I mean, it's part of that evolution that Cirque du Soleil is. And again, we go back to, this is a business, and so if they think that going mainstream is going to get them more money, then again, it's a business, and why not do it?
There's some vulnerability with owning a business.
There you go.
Have to put it out there.
So here you go. Here's a new Cirque show that has BMX bikes, or here's a new Cirque show featuring Prince. If you're going about money, there's your bottom line right there.
But they're doing both.
But yeah, I mean, hold on. Not everyone likes Prince. Not everyone likes a concert type show. So
no, but a concert type show doesn't need to stick around as long. It's probably
but that goes back to the question I asked earlier. So we only have what, 4 now?
For what?
4 of the concert type shows.
1,
or is it 5 or something? Love, Elvis, MJ, Soda Stereo.
Yeah.
Well, one MJ.
Elvis and MJ, 2 of those are gone, but
right. But I mean that they have produced
and created.
And created. Now, Love has been on for 10 years. one could go that long. So, we know Soda Stereo probably won't, and that isn't because it's bad. It's they may not find an audience in Europe or Australia or other places. But that goes back to that question: how many of those types of shows are you willing to accept? Let's say they go through the Princes and Elton John. Are you an Elton John fan? Do you care about a show, or Madonna, or anyone
They will have
else?
an audience, but how many?
Right, but it doesn't necessarily speak to you.
Right.
And how? Let me try to formulate this. When does it become cookie cutter? When are they just following a formula? They're saying, okay, there's a show, plop the artist in. This person died. Let's do a tribute show. Okay, it's a tribute show. It'll get an audience. It'll make money. But is there creativity there? When does it stop becoming creative? And I think when I looked at Soda Stereo at first, I thought, another one of these types of shows? Why do we need another one of these types of shows? But it works for that audience, and that's fine. And I think this is what you're finding for Volta. It's this. I wouldn't call it a cookie cutter show, but you're looking at it and going, well, I don't like what I'm seeing. And that's kind of the reaction that I got from Zarkana when I originally saw it. Now, I know it's changed a lot from when it came to Las Vegas. But when I saw Zarkana, I'm going, there's nothing new here. It's bizarre.
Which Dario's going to say that's what they were going for.
Singing in English. Yeah, I know. They were trying to go for that kind of bizarre. But I think they went off the reservation a little bit with that.
I see them trying to bridge the gap between mainstream and what they already had going on, and I don't know personally because I haven't seen it. I've seen what I've seen, but from what I've gathered, I think they're just trying to create that bridge, that gap between mainstream and the Cirque we already love and know. And I feel like maybe in that bridge, Dario's like in there, kind of like lost on that bridge.
I think he's questioning it just a little bit. If I can kind of like put words in your mouth, you look at NFL and you go, well, why not? Okay, well, you look at, you say, okay, well, by extension, well, why not? Okay, well, what about NASCAR? What about baseball? What about soccer? What about tennis? Where does that end? Are we going to have a bowling, a bowling show about bowling, or an event about bowling?
The hotel and the theme park. I mean, Cirque's expanding. And it's taking on new ventures and new areas, and I don't know how well I'll agree with all of them. Dario, did you ever see Delirium?
Absolutely, positively one of my all-time favorites.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't see it live, but I've watched the DVD multiple times, and I'm telling you, that show speaks to me. It's got this level of, it knows what it is, and it sells you what it is, and you appreciate it. So I love that. I love it.
That was my perspective of like a perfect bridge between concert experience, very mainstream, and Cirque du Soleil. Whereas that's where I think the loss is, that bridge with Volta. I feel maybe it's a little bit lost in there. It's a little blurred. The lines.
Well, and again, this is a show for Dario that just isn't for him.
Yeah.
It's not speaking to his generation. I'm Gen X as well, so it doesn't necessarily speak to me, but I'm trying to keep an open mind about it. It's like Septimo Dia does not speak to me because I don't know the music, I don't know the band. I've tried to listen to it. It still doesn't quite connect to me, but I can look at the show and go, okay, I like the design of the show. I like what's being presented. I see how the music morphs with that. With Volta, I can see, I like the science fiction element of it. I like the dystopian futuristic element of the show. I'm still skeptical on, whether or not the show is going to deliver on its acrobatic performance. There are things about it that I really, really like, and there are things about it going, okay, I don't want to pick on this particular act because I'm sure it's very difficult. But the hair hang, for example, there's hair hang in Septimo Dia. Now there's hair hang in Volta. I don't know that I would see that as a Cirque caliber act. And I don't want that to sound snotty or snooty. It's just, I don't picture that in a Cirque show.
And again, I don't mean any disrespect. I see it more of sort of like a freak circus type act. To me, I mean, think about it. They're hanging her from her hair, and no disrespect to the artist. Again, there's no way I could do that even if I had long hair. But
that's an interesting perspective because I don't.
It's just not an amazing thing for me to see.
Stunning though.
But see, and it calls you. It doesn't call me. To me, it's just like, okay, she's hanging by the hair. I don't doubt that the actual choreography or her dance, it's beautiful. But to me, the fact that she's hanging from her hair is just okay. I mean, I get it. I can't do it, but
actually, hanging from your hair, spinning, doing stuff that people do on silks or poles. She's doing it with her body. Phenomenal.
But not Volta, because you don't like Volta. But my point is, what I was gonna say is
the last thing I'm gonna say about Volta.
No. But listen, let me point out something really quick, because you mentioned that Séptimo Dia. It's good that they did Séptimo Dia because it's grabbing people that may not necessarily know Cirque, and now they're becoming Cirque fans. And I feel maybe that's the same thing happening with Volta, because you have, like Richard said, that whole dystopian feel, and you have the Hunger Games, and you have Divergent, and these are films that were popular. Maybe Hunger Games more than Divergent, but they're popular, and they're popular with who? With teens. And what do teens like? Cool things. And so again, this is what they're going for. They're going for the millennials, and they're going for now the younger audience. And how do you get them in there? Because Cirque du Soleil is not for everyone. Cirque du Soleil it's art, and it's supposed to be fancy. And back then, and you dressed up and you went to a circus that's not necessarily a circus, it's more of a theater. And so how do you get new fans? A lot of these fans that you have now are sort of like the older fans, and so you need to grab in more people. Yeah, sorry, and I'm old too, whatever. But what I'm saying is, how do you get more people in? You gotta change it up. Because times change.
Well, you think about it too. Like, imagine the old couple that you know them, they're in your life. The old couple that saw O in Vegas that one time, and they tell you all about it. I saw a Cirque du Soleil show. You should go see one. And imagine that old couple telling that to someone, and that someone goes off and sees Volta.
That's not cool. If you tell, no, hold on. What I'm saying is, if you tell like a kid, if you tell a kid, like, oh, these old folks like, oh, that's not cool, But if they go to Volta, you have that. It's something. It might call to them more because it's something that they know. You have the BMX. You have the parkour. How big was parkour? You have this music that is like M83, and and
right there. Sorry, how big is?
Well, Dario just completely hits the concept of Volta, and that's understandable. But what he doesn't understand is that the same thing he said about Séptimo Dia applies here.
I think Dario's laughing though, because parkour kind of like was a thing. It was big.
Right. It was I meant big ass. Everyone did parkour. Even in the office. Remember that episode? Parkour.
I'm surprised you didn't put parkour in Lanuba.
But I think that might have fit though.
I don't think it was a thing then, though, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't.
No, but like how they added the breakdancing, like they could have.
But also though, you look at like Madonna's jump video though. And that's still hip today too. If you look, I said hip, maybe it's not. Go on YouTube though, and if you watch the Madonna jump video, it's all parkour and stuff like that. And that is a way they made it modern. If you look at Iris, there's a little bit of parkour element in the trampoline, as well as Paramore. You get a little bit of that parkour element as they're jumping around the buildings and stuff. You're adding trampoline, of course, which kind of takes away from the free running. But I think by having those styles, those new styles, it's a gap bridge, and I think that's what they're just trying to do, is create new fans, because the old ones are dying off.
Come on.
Okay, maybe not dying off, but the younger
they're getting older, and
younger crowd is they got to stay in the eyes of the younger generation, because if you don't, they're gonna
us well, not only them, but
as well.
But who has money? Okay, who has money that they're willing to spend on an actual experience? Not some kid who goes home and plays Call of Duty all night. Like, they don't care. They go to that show because they were brought to that show.
But I will say, like, for instance, I'm 26. There are shows that I go see. Like when I went to Vegas, I went and saw shows. Now,
well, there are kids who go to concerts. Where do they get the money from?
Yeah, the money's there. They know how to get it from people. Like, we're in a day and age, like, you've got you've got such great marketing tools out there now that you can target those people. Also, look, I've got a friend, magic's kind of like that too. It's such a, as a magician myself in my own personal life, it's such a unique hobby that people aren't looking to spend money on that. And you think of kids as like, you think as a magician you're trying to sell to the adults, but really college kids throw money away on the stupidest things, and when they don't have money they will find money. I have a friend
That's true.
who's broke all the time but managed to spend $999.
It's his name, Jose.
Who managed to spend $999 on a gold-plated deck of cards. Why? Because they look cool to him. So I think.
So again, if you think something is cool and you want to, or you want it, you're gonna get it. If you think something is cool and you want to see it, you're going to see it somehow.
Okay, fantastic. My final thought on Volta is it's probably gonna fall victim to timing. I've seen a lot of really good shows in a really short amount of time, back to back. They get better and better. Some are a little less is amazing, but they're still all really good. Even OVO, like it's there. I did it. I got it done. It's okay for Cirque to fail every once in a while. I feel like in my eyes, it may be.
So you're thinking this show's going to be a failure?
No. For them to fail in my eyes. I'm sure it will be successful. I'm sure people will talk about it. I'm also damn positive it's going to take a long time for people to talk about it, because I mean, it's going to take a minute to accept that Cirque is doing something cool and hip for the younger crowd. That's all I'm saying. And it's a stepping stone to get to the next bigger, better picture, and I appreciate that. You know, some filmmakers, they're great filmmakers. Quentin Tarantino doesn't always make Pulp Fiction, but he does.
So you see this as a stepping stone to what?
I see it as in
what you want Cirque to be.
Exactly. It didn't hit the mark, but it's one step closer, and it just happens to be a victim of timing for me. You know, I've seen a lot of really dang good shows. Like, regardless of it closing, Paramore was a really good show. I'll be seeing Louisiana.
That it took you a while to understand or to realize how much you love that show.
Yeah, but it took me one viewing to know that they are saying something. They're speaking to me. There is a beginning, a middle, and end that all make sense. That all have a purpose. There's wrapping up that needs to be wrapped up. There's loose ends that are okay to be loose. It's beautiful. It didn't make the money it was supposed to. Great. Another stepping stone. It succeeded in my eyes, but it failed financially. That's okay. Like, I'm just saying, this Volta show is going to be some of people's favorite show, hands down.
Do you have a positive outlook for Cirque then because of this?
Huh?
Because I thought you said this. Do you think there's a positive outlook for Cirque because of the show? You said it's a stepping stone.
100%.
To something better?
Dude, I don't look at failure as failure. I look at it as a lesson learned. And it's not a bad concept. It's not a bad show. It's a bad execution. I don't know if you know what that means, dude. They had great intentions. They failed to make it translate to these eyes.
Well, how about this? Because you don't know that for sure until you've seen the show.
Well,
will you see the show?
Like I said,
because you won't know for sure if they failed in execution. Again, they're just showing you a small glimpse of it.
How do I have such a strong feeling that Septimo Dia did succeed?
No, but you didn't at first, and you even said it yourself. You didn't like the show at first.
I didn't like the concept. I love the concept of Volta. I hated the concept of this show, and then. Wow, it's unexpected. Okay, I think it's like this. I was expected to like Volta. It was unexpected to like this one. And unexpectedly, I love this one. I'm not kidding you guys. It's really something that I can adapt to. Is this band, the Stereo Soda, is phenomenal. Okay, I've got 15 of these experiences that I will take to my grave as the best times of my life. Rule of thumb, not every experience is going to be great. I will see it. Duh. It will come to Denver. Duh. It'll be here for months. But I'm telling you right now, I'm a pretty good judge of character. And when I look into your eyes, Jose, I see someone. I see something. There's a human being I'm talking to. When I look into the eyes of Volta, I am looking into,
what about when you see into the eyes of Kidam?
I don't see nothing. I see straight through his ass. Look, and once again,
I understand what you're trying to say. It just doesn't call to you. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I was just trying to understand why
the music.
Some of the things that you were saying, it was kind of.
It
contradicts.
And I contradict myself, but that's because I'm confused, bro. I'm not supposed to have these feelings. I'm supposed to be like Cirque. But I'm telling you, that lift, it's just going up and down for no goddamn reason, dude. It's like, we build it, let's use it. Oh, wait, no.
But again, you don't necessarily know how it ties in together. So that's why I asked, would you give this show an opportunity? Or would you see the show?
I will never, ever in a million years not see a Cirque show. Even if they did Reba McEntire, the Cirque experience. Listen, Cirque is my life. I put money into food, living, and Cirque. That's it, okay? I will see it. Doesn't mean I'm going to appreciate it. And like Richard said many a times, I'm starting to become one of those fans, a little bit more seasoned, even though it's still under 5 years. I've done a lot more in those 5 years than a normal fan can or normally would do. Timing. Chop it up to timing. The guys in the show, they were picked for a reason. The acts were picked for a reason. They're the best of the best. It's just hitting a spot in my life that I'm going to put it aside until I need it. I don't need it right now. If I want emotion, I'll go see Love. If I want fun, I'll go see Curious. You know? I don't know what that show is going to bring to me. I just don't know what it's trying to bring. I don't want to see people on stage walking around staring at their cell phone. Holy shit. I don't want to see that. I don't care if it's a poignant point in what is wrong with society today. I don't want to see this on stage. And the costumes are really cool. They're not cohesive. They don't even, okay, they're different families. That is a cop-out for not having.
They're not meant to be the same.
I get that. That's what a cop-out is. It's saying.
So now you're saying that a show cannot have a story if you don't agree with it. It's a cop-out.
No, I'm saying that the costumes.
They were specifically meant to be made to
specifically
different.
Meant. But there's usually something that makes it feel the same planet, the same world, the same
but they're
company.
Supposed to be different.
I get it. I get it. In Dralian, you know, when we're obviously watching the East and then the West comes out, I go, oh, that looks the same, even though it is completely different. It felt like the same person had their hands on it. It just felt like you do this, I'll do that, whatever. Oh, we'll just say that they're different families, and that way they'll have to fit together. Wah, wah, wah.
So you're saying the costumes came before the story?
I'm saying the costumes are not doing anything. Okay, see that little lady back there with the bird head and the beautiful? That sparks interest. That gets under my skin.
Well, now I understand that if you don't like the costumes, but I just feel like for you to say like it's a cop-out that they have 4 different families and the costumes don't look like they belong, they don't mix in, I guess, with each other. I just feel like that's a unfair statement. That it's part of the story, and if you may not like the story, but that doesn't mean that the costumes don't fit into the world or what they're trying to portray.
Have you seen the pre-programmed cover?
Yeah.
Okay, that right there is the perfect example of why I don't like that show.
Why is that?
Does it speak to me? Because it's trying to be something that it's clearly not.
I can see that. Because I agree. Because up until, like I said, up until really today, it didn't speak to me. And I do understand where he's coming from of the soullessness of the show. I can see where he's coming from. Like I said, today, my only changing point was the fact that I could see it and say, okay, this looks like something that is a show. It looks like a show. Before it seemed so disjointed, it didn't even seem like a show. It looked like people running up on a stage doing stuff.
Parkour.
Parkour, yeah. No, it just looked like a bunch of random things happening on a stage, and what's the purpose? Now for me, it looks like, okay, here's an act, here's an act, here's an act. I'll give it a shot. So I'm still almost with you, Dario, and I'm kind of with you guys as well. I'm kind of on the center of that bridge, kind of going, not knowing where I'm going with it.
And I understand where Dario is coming from, you know, with shows not speaking to me or to someone, you know, perhaps I'm not as emotional about it as he is. You know, really emotional about it, and perhaps it speaks to that. Yeah, you've been a fan for 5 years. You've seen a lot in that period of time, and this is the one show that is letting you down. And been there, done that. So I mean, I'm over that hump. So that's why I look at the new projects with this cynical eye, going, okay, this again, or okay, what are you going to show me? What is it going to be? Show me something else. Show me something new. Will this be it? I don't know. I'm because I like the sci-fi element of it. I like that concept. I'm going to go ahead and give it a chance. Now there are some pieces of of acts in there and acrobatics that I go, why did we need that? The controversial rope pulley thing, right? I don't see that as anything that excites me. There's no spark of anything there for me. Even the non-Cirque version of the act, I don't see anything in that. Now that's just me. Now it could speak to a bunch of people. So there are plenty of people on Facebook right now who agree with what Dario is saying, that this show is utterly crap. Why did Cirque do this? If you go to Volta's page and look at the reviews, you'll see there are some 1- and 2-star reviews.
Wow.
But but you're going to see that in everything. I mean, there were the same kind of reviews for Hoya. There were the same kind of reviews for Taruk. There was the same kind of reviews for Lucia. I'm sure there were the same kind of reviews for Zarkana. I was one of them. Viva Elvis. I was one of those that go, you know what? I thought I knew Elvis's music. I thought I understood. What you were presenting to me did not come to me. I mean, there was one guy in the audience who was just like,
that would have been me.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the shows that I skipped. Because it didn't grab me, and I was there in Vegas when the show was there. I was staying at the Aria, and I skipped it because it just didn't grab me. I wasn't a fan of Elvis, and so it just didn't grab me.
And I know a lot of fans, and I harp on it a lot as well. And I'm not talking Zarkana, I'm talking Banana Spiel. Banana Spiel was a mess, but I had actually a fun evening. I had a fun time at the show. I would have never seen it again, but I had fun time with it. That's an experiment that failed. You could sit back and say, geez, should they have done that? I'm like, well, yeah, okay, you gave it a try and it didn't work out. Paramore's another one. I wish I could have seen it. Hopefully there's a recording of it and I can see that someday. It is unfortunate that you're at this point. I knew you would get here. I was waiting.
So it's a growing pain. Every long-term Cirque fan that's in it for the long haul, you're going to experience it. It doesn't mean I hate it. It doesn't mean I don't like it. It just means, hey, rule of thumb, eventually it's going to happen. Right. We all do it. So I'll be overcritical, and then I'll kind of plateau and go back to just appreciating. Because right now, yeah, I feel myself way more of a dick than I would ever be.
But there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah,
and I feel like you've always had this mentality that you absolutely have to love everything that Cirque du Soleil does because you're a huge fan and this is your life now in a way. And there's nothing wrong with not liking something that Cirque du Soleil makes, because they're different things, and different things call different people, and it was going to happen that you were not.
I know, but it shouldn't have been this. It should have been Ovo. It should have been Taru. You
have a different personality.
Right.
Back to what you said, Dario, about the future of Cirque, though, and you're thinking it's a positive outlook. See, I see it a little bit differently. I'm seeing it as Cirque trying something. I'm not crazy for the change. So I actually worry about the future of Cirque with them creating this bridge. I look at it and say, what's on the other side? Because I'm a little bit nervous about that. Now I'm going to try to trust and hope that they'll be successful on the other side of that bridge between what we know of Cirque and where they're going. But it does make me nervous. I actually am a little bit anxious and about what direction Cirque is taking their company. And I understand it's a business and they got to go where it makes money. For me, I'm very old school Cirque. I love old school Cirque. Hands down, nothing touches that. Anything basically Varkai and before, I'm fine with. After that, I started to get that feeling. What you're saying. I remember with Corteo, I was just like, it was a show. I was going to see a show. I know I'm gonna break Jose's heart, but Kuza.
Ooh, I love Kuza.
I know. I don't even want to say it because I don't want to mad.
I don't have a problem with you not liking a show that I like.
It for me. Kuza was such. I felt like it was just a bunch of random things happening. Now, I got used to it, and I'm fine with it now. I like Kuza, and I like Corteo now. And actually, I'm excited for the re-up of Corteo. I'm really excited for that. But when it first came out, I was very upset that Cirque was changing.
It was different.
A different direction.
Well, we all know what the big difference is. Dragon is not there, steering the ship.
It's a different.
And it was his concepts that were evolved from Nouvelle Experience to Saltimbanco and Alegria to Quidam to Lanuba, and then poof, gone. And you have each show now has a new director, a new team, and I think I've spoken about this before, where the direction is, I wouldn't say aimless, but it is more you're putting a show on rather than maybe creating this emotional world. And that's just speaking to the different way that like Dragon did his shows versus the people who are coming in.
And look at the times too. Look at how times have changed as well.
Well, right.
Going in, the attention span of an audience member, as a performer myself, seeing the audience look at their phones more during a show than, whereas sitting in the audience of, back when I first saw Quidam to when I saw it in the arena, when I first saw it, it was a tense show. Everyone was quiet. Everyone was submersed in the show. I saw the arena show. There's a kid kicking the seat behind me. There's someone playing on their cell phone. There's someone talking about what they're doing at work next week, and it's the focus isn't as strong as it was back then as well. People can't watch things for that long.
And the other difference is you've opened up. Cirque du Soleil has opened up, their world to a different clientele by expanding what they've done. They've opened up their world. Yes, they're getting more people coming in, but they're getting a different caliber of people coming in that maybe do not appreciate the theatrical arts that Cirque was back then, to the way they are now.
Which is fine. We have
shows.
We have the shows that we have. Okay, I guess Mystère is basically
you're starting to see them disappear. I mean, Lanuba's going to close at the end of the year. I mean, that's one more classic Cirque show that's gone. The only thing that's going to be left is Mystère and O. That's it.
That's it.
And really, Mystère. How long is Mystère going to be here? I mean, as much as I hate to say that.
Yeah, I feel the same way. But for now, it's there. And if I want that emotion and that beauty and that pure Cirque experience, there it is, waiting for me. I guess, yeah.
I know it's a hard thing to work through.
It is. It's really confusing, man.
It is confusing.
You need therapy right now.
I do.
We should get a therapist on
Cirque
the show.
therapy.
To help us all.
I swear, dude. I get
new segment called Cirque Therapy.
Cirque Therapy with Dario.
No, I understand. I mean, the first time I saw Alegria was at the Beau Rivage, right? Everybody talked about this being the signature show. It's an awesome show. Everything is great. Well, I saw it at the Beau Rivage, and it's the 90-minute cut-down version. It was okay. I came out of it and go, that was it? It wasn't until it went back out on tour, and they re-added all the elements, and they plussed it up a little bit, and I saw it again in Denver, of all places, the first time I had seen it in the Big Top.
Nice!
And came away, blown away from it. It fit back into what it was supposed to be. So yeah, I feel you. You know, I know we don't agree on things like you really love Sarcana. I look at it and go, you really like Oboe. I look at it and go, yeah, it was a nice show, but it was a show. Yeah, it had insects in it.
So yeah, I've come to this point. You know, I've hit that mark, and I'm accepting it. It's just confusing because I never thought in a million years I would look at something and just feel embarrassed, and that's what I do. And I'm not embarrassed for the people. I'm embarrassed for myself.
So let me take this a little further. So you know what quartz is,
Oh yeah, I it's been slipped now.
right? So knowing what you know about Volta and how you feel about Volta,
I know.
how do you look at the future projects like Quartz?
Okay, so if you're taking this new show Volta and you're making it kind of a soulless, moody teenager, there's your audience. Now, Quartz is more maybe an elegant or a child-friendly audience. I could see it going either way.
Like ice shows, the first thing that comes to mind is Disney on Ice.
Disney on Ice.
But have you ever watched during the Winter Olympics the people that do like the dancing and shit on the ice skates? There is some insane artistry and athleticism going on at the same time with music, with lights.
Yeah, but are you going to sit through an entire show of that? Is that
No.
something that you think is going to be viable? And
It's
so
not.
that's yeah.
But it's not just going to be dancing and spinning. You have to build a show, a story, and you have to have areas that don't have ice with areas that build in what Cirque does. I think it's ballsy, ballsy, ballsy. But I also think it's necessary to do something like that. Yeah, Ringling's gone. Disney on Ice. This is like, you know, it's like there's not that much of this weird kind of family entertainment. I think this is a good fit. I like it. I don't like the name because Quartz, it reminds me of drugs, but whatever.
So you're saying that they should branch out and try to get people who probably like the Disney on Ice or figure skating and.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it could bring an elegant crowd almost of like.
I'm just going to say this really quick. That's the whole point of Volta, to try to get a different type of audience. That's all I'm going to say.
But this is a snooty audience that sniffs their own farts.
You can no. People are going to say that about the people who like Cirque du Soleil now.
And you know what? Volta is finally the first realization that what we do is nerdy as shit. From an outside perspective, we are nerds. I never looked at it like
right. So you don't
like
think that
fandom.
Volta? You don't think Volta is nerdy?
I never looked at it like a fandom.
Dude, man, you're on a podcast, a video podcast.
Right. It took you this long to figure this out.
Dude, I have a huge website. I do a newsletter.
I'm just talking to my buddies about something I like.
Look at the decorations in my room. Like
your room, my decorations.
Right. Exactly.
Black cereal boxes. I got something that you can't even buy anymore.
Hold on. So you don't think that Volta is nerdy?
No.
Dude, can I have that?
Right? There's a difference between pretentious and nerd. There's a difference between geek and nerd. No, it's not nerdy. It's snooty. You know when your best friend invites you to go to their friend's house? That's the feeling I get when I watch that trailer. I don't belong in this world. I need to go home now.
People don't do that with baseball. I think that's the thing people only do with theater.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's a theater thing.
It totally is, dude.
You can't get that in baseball.
No. And I'm always appreciative of bold, ballsy moves. Volta was a ballsy move. It's just a little tacky. Same with this Quartz. It is going to be a 50-50. They have to execute it right. I'm excited.
Saying tacky, that's a matter of taste, honestly. Some people like Crocs. I think they're tacky.
They're
It's a matter of
comfortable though,
style.
and they serve a purpose.
But they're tacky. So
But they serve a purpose.
Volta serves a purpose, but you think it's tacky, but it serves a purpose.
That purpose is kind of self-righteous.
It's not for you, just like Crocs are not for me.
Just take
Shall
away.
we just agree to disagree?
If the
Yeah.
shoe fits, wear it.
Yes.
If it
I
doesn't
just
fit, don't
look.
wear
My
it.
problem is the whole contradicting yourself. If you're going to have say something, but only apply it to a show that you think it's not pretentious or snooty, but that what I'm saying is it's for him to say that this show is snooty and it's for snooty audiences. That's just an opinion. It's not for him to say like if it's a fact.
Well,
You know,
art is subjective.
He's confused. We changed the title, by the way. Ian changed it to what is it?
Oh, it's Dario's Cirque Therapy.
No, again, I'm not saying that he is allowed to have an opinion. He is entitled to his opinion, but just going back and forth with like, oh, I like how they're taking
You've known me for 2 years now. You
I
just
know,
told me
and I know you're a police fan. I know that
you know I'm wishy-washy. You know I kind of jump ship, but you also
and you know that I'm going to call you on your bullshit when I feel that there's bullshit.
But it's coming from a place.
I know. I'm not saying that you're trying to. You're trying to say this to piss off the Cirque directors or anything like that.
I just get a little confused. I get a little excited.
Sometimes you do need to talk it over.
We'll just play this episode back once Star has seen Volta.
No, no. I'm
right. So we'll like Richard said, we'll just agree to disagree. And again, that's totally fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. You know, you have Dario who doesn't necessarily like what he's seen. You have Ian who's a little on both sides. You have Richard who's a little bit more excited about it than say Ian, and you have me that I am completely excited about it. But I will admit that I'm maybe a little biased because of M83, and I've been excited since it was announced. Since we went to Montreal, Richard and I, you know, we were told who the composer was going to be, and so sure, I'm biased, and again, none of us are wrong, none of us are right. It's just what we like is the type of whatever it is that calls us and grabs us. That's exactly what's happening here, you know, and we just experienced it as well with Septimo Dia, and so we'll just leave it at that, I guess. So if the show, if whenever I can see the show, I'm gonna go see it. I'm sure that's the same for actually for all of us, because even though we may not like something, we have to give it a chance. And I always say, and we've said this together, Dario, that in order to form a real opinion, you have to see the show.
You have to. Okay. Watch. I've seen videos and then I've seen the show. No comparison. You have to be there to feel what they're putting out.
And who knows? I may not even like the show if I go see it. But as of right now, I'm just saying what I saw, what I've seen, I like.
And that's great, because I love that we're so different at times. I'm usually, like you said, I have to like it because I have to like it. Well, I'll finally get to the point where no, I don't have to like it. I expect to like it, but I don't have to. Does that make sense? Is that a good?
Yeah. That's good.
Oh, have a good day.
Wonderful day under the soleil.
Jesus Christ.
You know how many weeks I spent writing that, trying to come up with something catchy.